Hello, Hero Collectors here. How's it going, everybody? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. I know I am, and today we're going to be upgrading these X-Men shelves. So let's take a look at who's being added to the shelves. Okay, here are the 6 figures that will be going up onto the display. So we have the Banshee, Marrow, and my custom Kit Bash, Fang, and then we've got Dark Wolverine, Rogue, and Destiny. These guys will go on my X-Men display, along with that stand for Banshee, and then these 3 will be going on my X-Men Villains display, which the villains display is a little crowded, and it's going to be a little difficult to figure out what to do with all these figures. And there's a pretty significant chance that I will be taking a couple characters out of that display. But the X-Men display, it should be just a matter of rearranging. I don't love some of the placement of where I have characters, so that'll be interesting. And then to add in one more figure, one that I've had for a while now, X-23 Wolverine will be going onto my X-Men display. I did previously have her in my Champions display, or my Young Heroes, but since we have gotten the X-Force X-23 recently, this gives me an opportunity to put this version of Laura with the X-Men, and then I've got 2 versions of X-Force X-23. One will stay with my X-Force team, the other one will go in my Young Heroes display. So just kind of spreading them out, putting different looks in different areas. But yeah, I think without further ado, we're going to go ahead and upgrade the shelves. Okay, now we're getting into it, and I'm going to be speaking in this narrator voice, I suppose, for the duration of this speed deshelving. Is that a term? But this is always the, I don't know, the removing figures from a shelf always feels like, ooh, okay, blank canvas. I have a nice set of possibilities of how I can change this up. I always want to fall into the same patterns of where I place figures, but it really allows for a lot of change to happen, and I feel like it does here. And you can see I've fidget with a few of the figures. Some of them got pretty dusty, so I had to pause and change them up and get all the dust out of the nooks and crannies. But especially when I was removing figures from the shelf, there were so many, and I knew I was going to have to remove people to begin with, and I go over who in a bit. But yeah, the just the amount of figures I was able to cram on one shelf is insane, and it's it's baffling to me how some shelves I can fit a ton of characters and everything just blends together so well, like at least in my eyes. And then other shelves like this, I continue to struggle. And I know, like, a lot of times other collectors will say, oh, you need risers to really spruce up the shelf. And for some shelves, absolutely, I definitely think I need risers for a few more in my display. But a display like this, there are so many large characters and so many strange characters, like I'm adjusting Mojo right now, that just won't fit on a risers type of display. And it makes it really difficult to, I don't know, find a way to make it feel balanced with all these big characters, but not like block anybody, and still make like the teams that I want to show off in the display kind of come together. I don't know. It's a struggle, but it's also a really good struggle. I really like how I displayed Spiral. The pose that I ended up getting her in, I'm really proud of it. But I go over later how it's kind of blocked, and it's a shame. And after having sat with how I changed up the display for a little bit now, when I'm recording this audio, I I don't know if I love having Mojo in the display currently. He really eats up a lot of space and really throws off showing off certain figures. So I'm considering, I haven't decided if I'm going to do it yet, in removing Mojo from the display entirely. And I don't know. Sound off in the comments below if you think I should. Because, like, currently, I have Fabian Cortez in a bin to review. I've got the Nemesis Build-A-Figure finished, and I'm not really sure where I want to place him. And the Gamerverse Juggernaut on the horizon. So I've got some, not, well, like, Fabian is kind of average size figure, but like the other 2 are larger. So ideally I'd love to fit them in this display, but I'm already out of room, you know? It would be a really difficult thing to attempt to fit them all in. So Should I remove Mojo and add in those figures, so I can have more space for those figures? Or is there a better place for the Nemesis Build-A-Figure? I know it's the one that they encounter in the Uncanny X-Force books. I haven't read those books. I need to, really, but yeah, does he fit in the 616 display, or should I just put him on my overflow? Let me know down in the comments if you have a better place or if one or the other is ideal for him. But yeah, we're kind of getting closer to the end here. Really trying to find where I needed to put certain characters. Black Tom really needed to fit there. Well, I was really focusing on making sure I get the Brotherhood right, because they're the core of the display. They go right in the middle all the time when I do this display, so getting them right was important to me. Let's see there. Oh, adding in Destiny. God, I wish she had better hands, and like, that book fell out of her hands so many times when I was trying to get her posed up for the shelf. It was so annoying. We've got the updated Mystique on the horizon, so that's definitely going to be swapped out for the Mystique I have here. I got my Kit Bash Mastermind right there. We're coming into the stragglers of who I wanted to fit in the display with Arcade and the Hellfire Club members. That Emma, God, that Emma is just terrible. High heeled figures are just awful to stand. Yeah, you see, I fidget with her for so much, trying to get her a new pose, and that cape is a pain. Just, I don't know. Okay, so I ended up having to take off all the Reavers, my Jason Wingard from the Hellfire, and then Caliban and Callisto from the display. But I am pretty happy with how this turned out. I was able to fix a lot of the problems that I had with how my previous display was. Mainly the fact that I couldn't see like Phoenix or Apocalypse in the background, but now, you can see him. Sorry about the light. See him with Angel or Archangel there a bit better. I I didn't re I didn't really leave enough room for when the new Gamerverse Juggernaut's going to come out, because he will absolutely be replacing this Juggernaut, so that's going to be a problem in the long run. And you got my Wolverine villains right here in the front. And then we got, you know, why am I blanking? Strife and Zero, and then gotta have Black Tom Cassidy close to Juggernaut. And then you got all my Brotherhood members right there, leading up to Magneto. Sinister, Madeline Pryor, Vertigo, all right there together, along with the multiple men. I like to keep them with Sinister where I can. Got Arcade right there. Phoenix in the background, much easier to see this time. And then Onslaught, Spiral, who I really like the pose that I got her in. With the crossed arms, I've got the swords doing different things, but she, of course, had to get covered up with Emma and Sebastian Shaw. So, still not perfect, but improved. And, ideally down the line, these guys won't be in here. I'll have my own Wolverine shelf, so I can put the Reavers back in. I'll need to figure out what I'm going to do with Mojo in the future. He'll need to be, up on a stand or separate, just because he takes up so much room. And I need to elevate Phoenix more. I need to find, one of those clear stands that's just very small, so I can just put her base on it so she can be up higher. One thing that I guess I didn't really do is leave enough room for Fabian Cortez, who is currently on my desk and will eventually go on this shelf, but yeah, I don't think I did a very good job of that. But I'm pretty happy with how this is for now. I'll make adjustments when they are needed, but that is the villain shelf for right now. Now let's move on to the X-Men. And now we're on to the X-Men team display, and I got cut off at the very end of the X-Men villains display, but that's okay. Here we are, adjusting the X-Men, looking pretty... I really like having that middle riser right there. I was just talking about risers and fitting in for different shelves. I think for this shelf, having that middle riser allows for me to prominently display the main team that I like, or main members that I like, while also being able to have other characters flying above others to display their powers, like Angel and Storm, as you can see here. And I got a dust. That's my go-to dusting towel for basically the whole apartment, actually. But yeah. Yeah, that angel figure's so great. I love that figure. And that was a big change up. I didn't even bring it up in the later recap towards the end, but I removed the Moira figure from this display entirely in favor of putting Cyclops and Jean there, and then Legion in a different spot of the display or of the shelf. So yeah, not that I hate Moira as a character. It's just that figure has an awful time standing, and she has knocked over several other figures over over the time I've had her on the display. So, and adding in that Banshee figure, that's such a good figure. I'm so glad they finally gave us that look. Got our boy Gambit here. Oh, and Iceman. That Iceman that I just put up on the riser, he's gonna get replaced because of the Secret Wars one. That's going to get a pre-order here soon. I can't remember the day exactly, but that's kind of dates when I'm recording this audio, I suppose. But yeah. Oh, and that Kitty Pryde. We need a new Kitty Pryde figure. Ideally, I want her training outfit because I would put that closer to my Wolverine figure. But man, that kitty that I currently have, she has an awful time standing. Just like this Emma, I had to put a stand underneath her feet, just like I did for Kitty. But yeah, Havoc. Yeah, I wanted to put Havoc a little closer to the front, but all those effects, it just didn't work out for me. You got Kurt there. Great Nightcrawler figure. And when does the change up happen? I know it's coming soon. I change up Havoc and Emma. Okay, no, I go to this other side now. Got the Time Travelers in the back with the big guns. Had to have them. I would love to get a new Hope Summers figure. I know it doesn't fit with this Cable, but I would love a Hope Summers to put with the rest on this X-Men display to go with Cable. But, there. Oh, there's Dazzler. Yeah, I really jumped around a lot when I was going through all these. Oh, Marrow. If you didn't check out my recent Marrow review, make sure you go back on the channel, see that. Who did I review her with? Cyclops from that wave. Yep, slowly working on getting that wave reviewed. I've got Fabian and AOA Gambit in... Oh, it's recorded. I need to edit it currently. So that'll be done here soon. See me figuring out where I want to do. There's Namor. But then Nemesis and Husk are next up to be reviewed from that wave, and then once I get that wave done, it'll be ranked in a video. So that'll be coming up very, very soon. Got the Cuckoos. Had to put Quentin Quire over by them. And there's Legion, like I was talking about earlier. And Longshot. Couldn't really get him to stand, apparently. Polaris. Sunfire. I think the change-up's about to happen. Because, yeah, I just don't love how I placed in a few figures here. And I do talk about it here in a minute at the recap. But, yeah, I like how it ended up, for sure. But what I'm doing right here just was not what I was wanting. And there goes Blink. I don't know how many times I have dropped Blink off of a shelf and her little, like, dagger and whatever you want to call it just went flying and I couldn't find it. I may have actually lost one of them. I can't remember if I still have it because she came with two and I only have one with her. Then we get, yeah, now she goes back up. And just so I don't get cut off, I'm nearly done with the display. And we are going to be recapping here in just a moment. Got to get the Wolverines up on the display. Okay, here's my X-Men shelf, and sorry, I'm having to really bend back to get to really show you this, but I like how this turned out. I think it turned out pretty well. You can kind of see what I was going for with some of these. I like how I can still see Banshee, but he's like not flying super high. I really wanted Jean and Scott to be up with Professor X, so that worked out pretty nicely. And I've kind of got the core X-Men that I consider to be towards the center and kind of to the sides with Angel and Colossus, but yeah, I quite like how this turned out. And you kind of saw towards the end that I didn't like how I had the Wolverine family off to the side, but I do like how this ended up looking with putting Blink and Sunfire and Polaris and Havoc over here and having these three come to the front. I always got to have the Wolverines close to the front. I don't know if I love Beast's pose. I may have to change that at some point, but everything else I think turned out pretty well. So I am pretty satisfied with this X-Men display and the X-Men villains display, as you can see it over there. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this shelf update video. I hope you all enjoyed. I will be doing some more very soon, specifically with the Spider-Man villains and Spider-Verse display. And you can't quite see it from this angle, but that MCU Multiverse Heroes display will get changed very soon. So make sure you are subscribed for all that. And yeah, I will talk to you all in another video, another post, another time.